I won't complain. I've had some good days. I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days. Yeah, some sleepless nights. But when I look around and I think things over, you see all of my good days. They outweigh my bad days. And I won't complain. Well, sometimes my head hung low. I could hardly see the road. And I asked the question, Lord, why so much pain? But he knows what's best for me. Even though my weary eyes can't see. So I'll just say, thank you, Lord. And I won't complain. You see, God has He's been so good to me. Woo. He's really been so good to me. More than this world or you could ever be. My God has been so good. My God has been so good. My God has been so good to me. Yeah, yeah. He dried every one of my tears away. And then he turned my midnights into day. So instead of complaining, I've learned how to lift my hands toward heaven and just say, thank you, Lord. Because I found out we're going to be lied on, but thank you, Lord. I found out we're going to be let down and disappointed, but thank you, Lord. 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 I won't complain.
Proverbs 4:23, and it reads, guard your heart above all else. He said, guard your heart above all else. There's other things we need to guard, but he said, make sure that you guard your heart. And when Solomon is talking about the heart, he's talking about not only the heart, but the mind. He's talking about the inner core of a person, the thoughts and the feelings, the desires, the choices that we make. We have to guard those things. Amen. We have to put a guard over our mind. He said, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Avoid all perverse talk. Stay away from corrupt speech. Look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you. Mark out a straight path for your feet. Stay on the safe path. Don't get sidetracked. Keep your feet from following evil. Verse 23 says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Just look over and ask your neighbor, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? Proverbs 4:23, it warns us to guard our heart. Guard our heart and our emotions, our inner thoughts, our desires, and our will. Because what determines how we react is what we allow to come in. And sometimes we allow too much stuff to come in that's not of God. We allow negative thoughts, and we allow doubt, and we allow fear to come in, and we begin to react on those thoughts. And when we realize that those things get in, sometimes they take root, and they will definitely contaminate our faith. So we have to guard our minds, because the mind is the battlefield. It's where all the thought processes go. It even determines how we feel about things. What we let in will determine how we feel about it. If we have to be careful even not letting people talk to us about other people, because once it get in, we begin to form an opinion about a person, and it gets into our emotions, and we start looking at people funny. We start talking to them differently. We shy away from them. So we've got to be careful to guard our mind and don't let certain things get in. There are many things that can affect the mind. It can, and that's why we must guard the mind carefully. I looked up the word guard, and it said to guard or to watch, carefully looking for possible danger, threats, or problems that will affect the mind. We've got to be careful, and that we don't let things, we have to be on alert. We have to be watchful and careful, looking. We have to be examining what's in our mind, making sure that there are no threats to our mind, because see, we can be turned on a dime by a situation. So we have to always have our minds covered and guarded from any problems or threats, because once something gets in, it's hard to shake it sometimes. You may find out later on that it wasn't even that, but it's still in your mind, and it's still trying to operate. The mind is a powerful thing, and it'll even have you thinking about it for days and weeks, even though you have excused it out of your mind. Every time you see somebody or think about the situation, you got to deal with it. So we have to cover our minds from any threats or anything that will come and be problematic to our thought process, because we as believers have to be very careful of how we react and what we say and what we do, because the Bible tells us that we are living epistles and we are known and read of men. There's some things we can say and some things we can do that will damage our credibility as believers. That's why we can't answer everything and be in every conversation and give our opinions on everything, because sometimes our minds are not right. Sometimes we wake up with the wrong mind. Sometimes we're in church with the wrong mind. Sometimes we're in prayer with the wrong mind. Sometimes we're family members with the wrong mind. So Solomon was saying, guard your heart above all else, above everything. Guard your mind, because once your mind is gone, what that was, the United Negro College Fund had a slogan back in 1972 that said, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. There are a lot of people that have a terrible, that let their mind waste on things that are not of God. The mind is constantly under attack by negative thoughts. When we have problems, we start thinking wrong. Our first thought process is not always when problems start, how to solve them. Is we begin to doubt and begin to say, Lord, I'm sick and tired of going through. I'm tired of this situation going on in my life. Instead of us flipping it and say, Lord, this is an opportunity for you to show your glory. But see, we have to be careful, because the mind is so tricky. And when sometimes we just get tired. That's why he said, for the issues of life. A lot of us are dealing with issues, and we've been dealing with some things for a long time. And if we don't put a perspective on it and we don't get a handle on these issues that we are dealing with, we're going to have some troubles. We're going to have some reactions that are not going to be Christ-like. So our mind is constantly under attack from thoughts and problems. Troubles will change your thought process. Troubles will make you say, why brother so-and-so ain't going through it? Why I got to deal with it? See how the mind operates? Why me, Lord? Why do I have to deal with this? Why am I in this season in my life? But when we guard our minds from these things, the Bible tells us, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. We have to take on the mind of Christ. Out of all Christ went through on his years here on earth, he guarded his mind, because had he let these things that were coming in at him really affect him, he would have never fulfilled his mission. He said, I came to do the will of him that sent me. A lot of times we got to get our feelings and emotions out of the way, because just because we're saved don't mean we're supposed to have the victory and be on the mountain all the time. There's going to have to be some valleys we're going to have to go through. There's going to be some down times. There's going to be some droughts. But when we keep our mind guarded and we keep our emotions covered, we can go through anything, because he said, I'll supply all you need according to your riches in glory. Then he said, greater is he that is in me than he that is of the world. We got to regulate our mind. That's why Paul said that to fix your thoughts. He said, fix your thoughts on what is pure, what is honest, what is lovely, and what is a good report. He said, and anything that's worthy of praise and excellent. We have to make sure that we are thinking the right way, that we don't let what we are dealing with dictate how we gonna act. Because really, when we get that thing in us and we don't allow that thing, allow that thing to take over, we're gonna start acting in some ungodly ways. Our attitudes start to change, our tempers get short, we don't want to be bothered, we snapping at everybody, can't nobody tell us nothing, and we wonder, we say they just getting on my nerve. But no, we don't let our mind wander off. He says, stay on track. Look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you. In other words, keep your goals and perspectives in place. Don't allow the trouble that you're facing in this life to get you sidetracked. That's why we have to guard our mind. We have to fix our mind. Program. Paul say, program your mind. Just like you program your DVR to set to play to record your special program, record your mind. Program your mind. Today I'm going to have a good day. And when you see the day going contrary, then you got the authority to change your day. We got to understand that we can't allow things to change us, because the moment that we speak, I'm going to have a good day, look for something to happen to try to change that, because you want to do what's right. That when that time comes up and you see somebody trying to get on my nerve on the job, you got to go and pray. We got to be mindful of the mind. The mind is so powerful. And the enemy wars in our mind. He's not worried about all this other stuff. He said, if I can get them off track. If I can put some stuff before them to make them forget how good God been to them. If I can just get somebody that really gets on their nerve to constantly keep aggravating them every day, I can change their thought process. And the moment we stop loving people and the moment we stop treating people right, we have lost our spiritual minds. The moment that we don't want to do what's right, we have lost our spiritual mind. But when we line back up and get back on track, there is nothing that can get us off track. Worrying will get you off track. Paul wrote to the church at Philippi, he said, don't worry about anything. He said, pray about everything. Tell God what you need. Then thank him for all he has done. Then the peace of God will guard your hearts and mind. He said, I'll give you a peace that passeth all understanding. When you got peace in your mind, you can really lay down at night and sleep. When you got peace in your mind, you can love your enemies. When you're at peace in your mind. But when your mind is reeling and you speak, sometimes we get so off track, we talking about stuff people don't even understand what we're saying. Mind just messed up. We talking about everything and it don't mean nothing. And the enemy will use that as a snare to us. But he said, don't worry about anything. But he said, pray about everything. You want to keep your mind right? Pray. Prayer will regulate your mind. Prayer will regulate your thoughts. It'll regulate your emotions. Sometimes our mind is going in so many different directions till we so emotional, people don't know how to deal with us. One minute we're crying, the next minute we're laughing, we're having panic attacks, we're nervous because the mind has been affected. Because worrying is a threat to our peace. Yes, when we worry, it's a threat to our peace, because worrying comes to rob. It brings not only doubt, but it brings fear. It brings panic and disbelief. But when we pray, prayer will settle your mind. Prayer will make you say, God, I know you got it. Prayer comes to equalize things. When the enemy come in like a flood. Paul wrote to the church of Corinth, he said, the weapons of our warfare, they are not carnal, but they are mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. And then it say, bringing everything into captivity that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. That's a mind thing. You can't fight a spiritual battle in the physical and in the natural. You got to fight it in the spirit. And to be able to fight in the spirit, the mind got to be right. That's why some of us are fighting people, because our mind ain't right. Some of us are trying to get the boss fired because our mind ain't right. Some of us don't want to deal with people because our mind is not right. We got to learn to deal with the spirit that's operating in people and quit fighting. Paul said, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Our fight is not with one another, but it's with spiritual wickedness in high places. And the enemy comes to fight this mind, and it'll tell us, don't speak to him. But when you don't speak to him, let him know you ain't speaking to him without opening your mouth. Because it's a way we cannot speak to people. We can see them. But I mean, we got mind problems. That's why Psalm say, guard your mind. As best as you can, put a watch over your mind. Because the issues of life flows. Some of us we're caught up in a lot of issues in our life, and we're not thinking clearly. Then the Bible says Paul said, I beseech you, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your body a living sacrifice. Every day we got to offer up our bodies to God. Amen. Not just our physical bodies, but our mind. Lord, take control of my mind today, because if I have it too long, I'm going to mess up. If I run my mind too much, I'm going to mess up, and I'm going to do the wrong thing, and I'm going to lose my testimony because I tried to regulate my own mind. He said, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your body a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is our reasonable service, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed, be changed by the renewing of our mind. Every day this mind got to be renewed, because every day is something trying to break in and change things and change the way we treat people, the way we act. Every day our mind is under attack, because that's what the enemy can get in. He can get in our mind. Every day it has to be renewed, because it's flooded with issues every day. We got issues at home. We got issues on the job. We got issues in the family. We got issues every day that floods our mind, and we are not capable of processing this stuff alone. That's why we have to be renewed in our minds every day. And then Isaiah said he'll keep you in perfect peace if you keep your mind stayed on him. In other words, I got to thank Jesus. If you want to call me a fanatic, then I'm a fanatic. But I got to keep my mind stayed on him, because if I don't, then I'm going to entertain some stuff that I shouldn't be entertaining. I'm going to let some things in that should not come in. But if I keep my mind on him, he'll keep me in a place of peace. Without peace. Have you ever been without peace? That's a bad place to be in when you don't have any peace. When you don't have any peace, you're not in control anymore. Whatever has robbed you of your peace, that's the controlling factor. But he said, I'll keep you in perfect peace. But when we put our total trust in God, he'll give us peace. He'll give us the peace that passeth all understanding. Not only will he give us peace in our mind, but in our emotions and in our desire. He'll calm our spirit. Sometimes we just need to sit down and let God calm our spirit. Lord, calm my spirit. I'm moving too much. There's too much going on. I got too much flooding my mind. But if we get in the right place in God, these things, that these issues of life will not overtake us. Because the enemy desires to take advantage of these situations. But Paul said we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. He's got a lot of devices that he used, and he wars in our mind. Everybody in the Bible that he attacked the mind. Amen. Jesus was in the garden, was in the wilderness. 40 days fasting. He came at the end of the fast when he was hungry and weak. He said, I got it now because I'm going to speak to his mind. Mm-hmm. If you be. See what I'm saying? If you be the Son of God. Turn these stones into bread. If you are who you say you are. Then he took him and showed him all the kingdoms. If you bow down to me, took him to the pinnacle and showed him everything, I'll give all this to you if you worship me. See, he comes and he wars in our mind, and he knows what to present before us because he knows what we like. Because Peter made it plain when he said, be sober and be vigilant, for your adversary, the devil, is as a roaring lion, walking about, seeking whom he may devour. Lions study their prey. They sit in the bush and they camouflage in it, and they let you run to the water hole 2 or 3 days. Get you comfortable. See, the devil wants us to get comfortable where we are. He wants us to be comfortable where we are. But at that precise moment, he'll roar. And his voice will travel miles. And it sounds like surround sound. You don't know where he at. Then he got you. Because you look in one way, he coming from another. That's the trick of the enemy. He'll have us looking one way, and he's coming from another. That's why we have to remain sober-minded. When Peter was saying be sober, he said be sober-minded. Have a disciplined mind. Salvation, Christianity, this walk is work. It's work because we got to work on ourselves constantly. We got to constantly be in training to keep ourselves. It ain't about somebody else. This is a walk that we're going to carry on by ourselves. And it's a constant training every day. And it starts with our mind. We got to keep our mind right. The enemy don't care how he get us. He just want to get us. He waits on the opportunity that we present. Some days we let him know, Satan, I'm open to pray. You can get me any kind of way you want. Sometimes our guards are up, sometimes they're down. But Peter said, be sober, be vigilant. Then he said, cast your cares. See, when we give all these life issues over to God and cast them on to God, he said he cares for us, meaning he's going to take care of us. But a lot of things we're holding. We're trying to fix them ourselves. We're trying to work them out. I got this, God. I know how to do it. Some of us just like to do things on our own in the natural, so we bring it over in the spiritual. I've been handling things like this 30 years, and you've been struggling 30 years trying to handle them. But he said, give them to me. He's as a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. We got this, he want to catch us off track in our thinking so he can ultimately devour us. When our mind is not right, the enemy can ultimately devour us. He'll send us into depression, worration, restlessness, confusion, fear, panic attacks. When our mind is not right. Solomon said, guard it. Guard your mind. Put a guard over it. Put a guard over your mind. Put ADT over your mind. Got to guard it. Got to put an alarm system on it. So when the enemy come in, nope. When you start thinking right, you get a signal. You're not thinking right. See, this thing with the mind, we a lot of times don't understand because it's subtle. These things are subtle that happen. We let troubles and issues come in, and we carry them silently. We carry things silently. We carry on throughout our day, and all these issues in our mind, and subconsciously we'll weight it down. And it will bring fatigue. It'll bring sickness. It'll bring depression. And we're wondering why we're in a slump. Because subconsciously, we are carrying this stuff. But outwardly, we are still smiling and grinning and laughing and carrying on. But on the inside, we are weighted down. Because our mind is overloaded. If you overload anything, it's going to crash. If you overload anything, it's going to start moving slow. It's not going to operate the way that it should. And the enemy wants to take advantage of those opportunities. So we got to remain sober, and we got to remain vigilant and prayerful. We all have issues. We got to give them to God. The Bible said the steps of the righteous are ordered by God. But we got to give our stuff over to God. We got to quit holding it, and we got to release it so our minds can be clear. We got to minister to people. We got to witness. We got a life that we got to live before people, that they got to see how to handle these things. But if our mind is overloaded, then we can't operate effectively. We may have opportunities here and there where we're on point. And sometimes we're so off point. Not just with ministering, but with our own actions and deeds that we do, because we're overloaded. So tonight, if you know that you have some issues, you're overloaded. You say, Lord, I need to put a guard over my mind. I need to watch my speech. I need to stay focused, because I'm not focused like I used to be. I'm off track. I need to get back on track. I need to get back on the path that I was once on. Some of us are overloaded. If you're overloaded, come tonight, because you're not thinking right. Sometimes we can be overloaded with the stress of work, school, just overloaded with things from just everyday life. The issues of life will overload us. But God said, I came that you might have life, that you might have it more abundantly. God wants us free. He wants you to come tonight and release everything to God. Cast it upon him. Give your worries to God. And then ask God to give you the mind to guard your mind. Help us to think right, Lord. Help us to release these things that we have no control over. Whom the Son set free is free indeed.